The night was dark and the air was thick with an eerie silence that hung heavy over the small, isolated town of Ravenwood. It was the perfect setting for the horror that was about to unfold. As the clock struck midnight, the moon disappeared behind a thick layer of clouds and the streets were plunged into complete darkness. Suddenly, a blood-curdling scream echoed through the town, sending shivers down the spines of anyone who heard it. The townspeople knew that something was terribly wrong, but they were too afraid to leave their homes. They huddled together in fear, praying that whatever was out there would not find them. But it did. One by one, the townspeople began to disappear. They were taken in the dead of night, without a trace. The only evidence of their existence was the pool of blood left behind where they once stood. The remaining survivors soon realized that they were dealing with something far more sinister than they could have ever imagined. They were being hunted by a creature that was not of this world. It had come from the depths of hell, with one goal in mind: to feast on the flesh and souls of the innocent. It was a demon, with eyes as red as the fires of the underworld and a voice that could chill even the bravest of hearts. The survivors banded together, armed with nothing but their wits and a few crude weapons. They knew that they had to fight for their lives, or face a fate worse than death. For days, they battled the demon, fighting tooth and nail to protect what little they had left. But the demon was relentless, and its power seemed to grow with each passing moment. Finally, on the darkest night of all, the demon made its final move. It attacked the survivors with all its might, sending them into a frenzy of fear and desperation. But in that moment of chaos, a hero emerged. A lone figure stepped forward, wielding a weapon forged in the fires of heaven. With a single blow, he vanquished the demon, sending it back to the depths from whence it came. The survivors rejoiced, but their joy was short-lived. For they knew that they could never truly escape the horror that they had experienced. The memory of that fateful night would haunt them forever, a reminder that sometimes, the darkness is far more terrifying than we could ever imagine. The survivors emerged from their homes, looking around at the destruction that had been wrought upon their town. Everywhere they looked, they saw the evidence of the demon's rampage. But they also saw something else: the strength and resilience of the human spirit. They saw how, in the face of unimaginable horror, people could come together to fight for their lives and for each other. They knew that they could never forget what had happened, but they also knew that they could never let it defeat them. They began to rebuild, to heal, and to find a new sense of purpose in their lives. And yet, even as they moved forward, they could never shake the feeling that something dark and sinister still lingered in the shadows. They knew that they could never truly escape the horrors of that night, no matter how hard they tried. For the demon may have been defeated, but the memory of its terror would live on forever in the hearts and minds of those who had survived it. And that, perhaps, was the true horror of it all.